Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The Chancellor coined this budget a budget for the next generation. What struck me about this was the focus not just on today or next year, but the years to come after that. The phrase long-term economic plan has been said in this chamber about as many times as "thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker." But this budget highlights that it's not just rhetoric or jargon, it's actually a tangible plan, one to create a saving, home ownership, business-friendly and education-focused nation. Education is the bedrock of opportunities, the very key to helping the next generation. And so a budget labelled this way, it is only necessary that it focuses on education and that it's bold in this area, and bold it is. The acceleration of fairer funding to help 90% of affected schools by 2020 will ensure that some of the older children in the Chippenham constituency also benefit from the chance to have just and equal funding. It will mean an ending to this ludicrous funding system. It will ensure that Wiltshire schools get the money that they deserve to continue to offer the fantastic education that they've come to be known to be offering. With pupil funding in Wiltshire just over £2,000 per pupil, less than elsewhere in the country, according to the national average, I know that teachers, pupils, parents will all be thrilled at this announcement this week because they will recognise that their cry has been listened to. I'm also delighted that this government is backing academisation. And to be clear, I don't for a moment think it's a panacea to all of the problems that we have. But it does offer independence, choice, economies of scales and high standards. Abbey Fields School in my own constituency are going through the process at the moment and are actually desperate to become an academy. They're desperate because they see the huge benefits and the freedoms that is offered by this system. I must also... On that point,
I'm grateful to my honourable friend, but will she also recognise that there will be some schools who have genuine concerns about this and that will need support in terms of guidance as to how, in relation to restructuring and the whole process as well? Will she accept that?
Yes, thank you to my honourable friend. I completely accept that. And one of the reasons why the announcement was made was about encouraging academies to take ownership and it be very much school-led. At the moment, we want them to choose which other schools they join, which MATs they join as well. So it is very much a bottom-up reform. I must also stress, moving on, my support for the sugar tax on soft drinks, which is also bold, I believe. It is a move that sends a message will educate and encourage both consumers and parents and children and the drinks industry. Given the two tiers, it will also encourage the drinks industry to try and cut down their sugars to move into the second tier. My own grandmother died when my father was very young of diabetes. She had a complete and utter addiction to soft drinks. Now, although that was a different era and we can't be 100% sure that it was the cause of diabetes, it is extremely likely it was. My family grew up in a household that was a very small, modest income, and I often think if we'd have had that tax then, what a difference it might have made. And so I say to anybody that doubts this policy, what does it mean when they say, oh, it won't have any effect? Does it mean that it will only save one or two people, only save somebody else's grandmother or mother? It is not also about that, though. It is also about cutting the obesity rate, which means that we'll have more money for the NHS to pay for other ailments, such as cancer. The fact is that this policy will not deter everyone, and nobody is ever suggesting that it will. The reality is you can only lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. But you can send a strong message about the threat that these drinks really pose. I believe it is very conservative. It is a responsible action by a responsible government. A forward-thinking action, an action that does not ban but encourages personal responsibility and people to take ownership when they've got the right facts and the right message from the government. A recent study by Public Health England found that on average teenagers consume more than 3 times the recommended amount of sugar. The report also showed that if they cut down by 5% within 5 years, it would save 77,000 lives and cost the NHS less by 14 billion. I think this makes the case itself, really. Using the generated money to double primary schools' PE sports premium from 160 million to 320 million per year is a great step forward to encouraging sports fitness and tackling childhood obesity. the £285 million a year to allow 25% of schools to extend their schools by an hour a day will also assist parents and will reduce their childcare bill. This is a forward-thinking move as well, and one that is supported by the Sutton Trust. The use of this hour will be key, and I look forward to reading more information on this. This budget was business-friendly, and it's aimed at combating our productivity crisis. It will help businesses in my constituency and around the country, and will encourage start-ups. However, we also need to encourage and enable the next generation of business owners, managers, directors and employees. These will need to be proficient in maths. We need to use this opportunity to bring maths to life, to teach practical and applicable maths, maths for real life, to ensure that students are work-ready and life-ready. So we need to be able to give them help on their mortgages, their tax returns, their balance sheets, technical applied roles, basic business mathematics, the list goes on. Particularly important given the fact that we have this growing self-employed part of the economy. In fact, there will be 40,000 self-employed people in Wiltshire alone in the next 5 years. So I must stress that we must not allow this to be a journey towards a maths A-level or a broad-based maths course that is pegged at this level. I hope that Sir Adrian Smith's report will reflect the need to enliven and enrich students' mathematical basis for the real world. We need to ensure that our system creates numerate and mathematically proficient young people. We must also remember that not everybody needs to be a mathematician, as I well know myself. Yet we will need to ensure that they have the element that is necessary for the workplace. So I repeat that this report for this reform, it offers us a massive opportunity, but only if it is done correctly. I do also welcome the additional support to encourage lifelong learning and the recognition that this shows that the economy and the labour market are moving at a fast pace in our international world. To conclude, there are as many things I would have liked to have said, but the time limit has severely handicapped me today. But I would just like to sum up by saying that this is a bold budget. It is an opportunities-based budget. It is a budget designed to improve our education system in the long term, but also designed to offer opportunities in the short and the long term for all.